Have you ever wondered, was HIV/AIDS intentionally created? This question, though far-fetched, was not uncommon during the 1980s as the HIV/AIDS epidemic began to unfurl across the globe. Conspiracy theories began to emerge, the whispers of paranoia and fear seeping into public consciousness, suggesting that the virus responsible for AIDS was not a natural occurrence, but a manufactured one. The most chilling of these theories proposed that HIV was nothing less than a bioweapon, intentionally crafted and disseminated as part of a sinister plot by government agencies or other powerful entities. A lethal tool in a hidden war, some claimed, a weapon of mass destruction that didn't destroy cities or infrastructure, but people, lives, communities. Another variant of this theory suggested HIV was not a weapon of war, but rather one of control. It was allegedly created in a shadowy laboratory as a means of population control, specifically targeting certain groups or regions. The rapid and devastating spread of the virus, coupled with the initial lack of understanding about its origins and transmission, only added fuel to the fire of these conspiracy theories. These speculations were not born in a vacuum. They were fed and nurtured by existing fears and prejudices. The virus disproportionately affected marginalized communities, such as the LGBTQ+ community and people of African descent, making them easy targets for blame and suspicion. There were even claims that pharmaceutical companies, in a cruel twist of capitalism, were intentionally withholding a cure to profit from the suffering of those affected. As we delve into these theories, it's crucial to remember that they are just that. Theories, not facts. They emerged from a time of great fear and uncertainty, a time when the world was grappling with a new and deadly enemy that seemed to strike without warning or mercy. But what does science, the beacon of truth in this sea of speculation, have to say about these theories? We'll delve into that in the next scene. These theories played on existing fears and prejudices, but what does science say? One theory proposed HIV was a tool for population control. Sounds shocking, doesn't it? But that's the heart of this conspiracy theory. The notion that HIV was specifically engineered in a laboratory as a means of population control. This theory, as outlandish as it may seem, targeted certain groups and regions. It was fueled by the rapid and devastating spread of the virus and the initial lack of understanding about its origins and transmission. The theory plays on the fears and prejudices that existed at the time and still persist today. It suggested that HIV was deliberately designed to affect marginalized communities disproportionately. We're talking about the LGBTQ+ community and people of African descent. These communities were indeed severely impacted by the HIV/AIDS epidemic, but not because of a sinister plot. It was a combination of social, economic, and health factors that led to this disproportionate impact. Then, a more sinister twist was added to the conspiracy theory. It alleged that pharmaceutical companies, those entities supposedly committed to health and healing, were intentionally withholding a cure for profit. The theory suggested that these corporations were capitalizing on the suffering of those affected by the virus. They were painted as heartless entities, more interested in their bottom line than the lives of millions. But here's the thing. Conspiracy theories thrive in environments of uncertainty, fear, and misinformation. They offer seemingly simple explanations to complex problems. They paint a clear picture of villains and victims, but life, as we know, is rarely that simple. HIV wasn't a tool for population control. It wasn't a money-making scheme by pharmaceutical companies. It was, and still is, a virus. A virus that crossed over to humans from non-human primates in Central and West Africa in the early 20th century. It spread due to changes in sexual behaviors, medical practices, and global travel patterns. These theories thrived in an environment of fear and misinformation, but the evidence tells a different story. A story grounded in science, research, and facts. A story that reminds us of the importance of relying on credible scientific evidence and expert consensus when discussing public health issues. Science has long since debunked these theories. How did they do it? Well, let's dive into the facts. The origins of HIV have been traced back to non-human primates in Central and West Africa. This conclusion was reached through decades of rigorous scientific research. By comparing the genetic sequences of different HIV strains, scientists were able to construct a sort of family tree of the virus. The roots of this tree led them back to a type of chimpanzee in Central Africa. indicating that the chimpanzees were the original source of the virus we now know as HIV. Now you might wonder, how did a virus from chimpanzees cross over to humans? The crossover is believed to have occurred when humans hunted these animals for meat and came into contact with their infected blood. The consumption of bushmeat is a common practice in some parts of Africa, and this is how the virus found its way into the human population, likely in the early 20th century. The rapid spread of HIV was not a result of some malevolent plan, but rather a tragic combination of factors. Changes in sexual behaviors, medical practices, and global travel patterns all played a part. The virus was primarily spread through unprotected sexual intercourse, sharing of needles among drug users, and through contaminated blood transfusions. The advent of air travel also facilitated the global spread of the virus. So the idea that HIV was created in a lab as a bioweapon or a means of population control, thoroughly debunked. The claim that pharmaceutical companies are withholding a cure to profit from the suffering, also debunked. These conspiracy theories were not only scientifically unfounded, but they also added a layer of stigma and fear to an already devastating epidemic. The spread of HIV was a tragic consequence of various factors, not a sinister plot. The sad truth is, the real enemy here isn't a shadowy organization or a nefarious government agency. It's ignorance, prejudice, and misinformation. And the best weapon we have against these foes? Knowledge. Knowledge grounded in rigorous, evidence-based science. Misinformation and fear can lead to the creation of false narratives. So, what have we learned? We've delved into the depths of the conspiracy theories that emerged during the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. Theories that painted a picture of a deadly virus intentionally created for population control, or a sinister plot by pharmaceutical companies to profit off the suffering of the affected. These narratives preyed on our fears and prejudices, and they gained traction amidst the chaos and uncertainty. But science and reason prevailed. These theories were debunked by rigorous scientific research that traced the origins of HIV to non-human primates in Central and West Africa. The spread of the virus was linked to changes in sexual behaviors, medical practices, and global travel patterns, not a malicious conspiracy. In the face of crisis, let's remember to always seek the truth, backed by scientific evidence and expert consensus. Stay informed, stay safe. Stay